So, let's talk about Savage. Okay, so the reason I chose to rewrite my novel, it's always good to like edit and revise your novel instead of just having that raw, unedited version of it. But if you know you have a solid novel, there is no problem in you just having that novel and querying it and submitting it for any form of publication. Me, on the other hand, I, on the other hand, I can't chat again. On the other hand, I needed to rewrite Savage. Why? Because it was extremely raw. It was extremely raw and raunchy and cringy, and I was not making any edits to it. While I was writing it, I was in university part-time, working as well, and I was a mother. So there were a lot of outside things happening, and I was just writing when I can. So that's why it took me so long to even complete the first draft, and that's why it was so rough. So when I actually graduated university and had time to sit down and read what I wrote, I was like, wow, and people actually like this. People actually like this. So I saw a lot of errors in the original draft. So what are we're going to like deep dive into the errors of Savage and just take a little minuscule look at all of them. I won't have examples for everything, maybe one or two examples, but I know what I'm referring to when I talk about the errors in my novel. For the most part, I created 3 drafts. There was the original draft that I posted on Inkit and Wattpad. Then I created the second draft this year and completed it in June. And the third draft I completed this year in August. So yes, 3 drafts. There was a 4th draft, but that was to just have some edits from my original drafts along with some from the adaptations, like just the location change, and that was it. Everything else is the same. Let's see. I'm sorry for saying so many when it came to Savage, though, I pantsed it. I pantsed it a lot. There was no plotting whatsoever. I had a sentence or two for 10 chapters in my head, but I just pantsed everything. I did not really plot out Savage. It just came to me as I wrote it or as I write. Yeah, everything just came to me because there were things happening around me at work, and I was just like, yeah, I have to add it in because it was exciting. I'm not going to say I am an excitable person, but when I was younger, I was extremely excitable, easily excitable. Savage is just like, my novel Savage is a novel I wrote about my friend at the time that had a crush on our manager, and I would just like write little tidbits and send it to her just for enjoyment. I enjoyed writing it. I was a blogger at the time, and I knew I have a very short attention span. I still do. So I was sticking to short form writing, but I kept getting encouragements like from persons like co-workers and friends to write a novel, just one chapter a day or a week or whatever, and it will come. So that little encouragement, plus I was already writing the little tidbits about their encouragement, and I was writing my erotic blog at the time, so I just began my journey with Savage. And I pantsed it. Everything that was going on around me, plus the little 2 or 3 sentences, I wanted to add into every chapter. So the 10 chapters that I had in mind turned into 24 in the end of the original draft. So yeah, it didn't really have a plot, a storyline. It was just, hey, these 2 people liked each other. Let me just add some characters around them and just go with it. And during that time, a lot of erotic novels were coming out, so we were in the erotic era at that time, and it was fun. And I was like, when I write this, I don't want it to have anything to do with 50 Shades of Grey or any other of our my erotic adventures that I read about, because I read Bad Things by R.K. Lilly and the entire series of Bad Things. So there was Bad Things, Lovely Trigger, Rock Bottom, but not in that order. There was Bad Things, Rock Bottom, then Lovely Trigger. Was that the order? And then they had the novella, which was Lana. I love R.K. Lilly. Then you had 50 Shades of Grey. Everyone was coming out of the Twilight Saga, and then you heard that 50 Shades of Grey was a fanfic of the Twilight Saga, but an erotic version. It was a lot, and I was like, yeah, I love erotica. Let's add some erotic elements. So I did not write Savage to be like those erotic novels. The adaptation might remind you of that, but if you read the original novel that is on Inkit or Wattpad, no, they're the only element of those erotic novels you should see are the sex and like few little elements, because they only use like some toys and it's not a major part. There shouldn't be any contracts or anything like that, like in 50 Shades of Grey. Nothing like that. My novel is completely different. So yes, yeah, so 10 short chapters turned into 24, and I was just pantsing everything, and everything was all over the place. When I read the novel to rewrite draft 2 and 3, I saw a lot of repetitiveness, like the word really, just, and it is or that is or something like that. There were a lot of plot holes, grammatical errors, unnecessarily lengthy sentences, redundant statements, underdeveloped personalities, no defined themes, no defined plots, issues that were never revisited, aka plot holes, and cringy scenes. And this is because I didn't have a plot. As I said, I was just writing and adding things because, this is exciting. Yeah, let's add that. Let me add that. I was just excited. I was excited in what I was doing. I was excited to see my friend getting all excited because oh my God, it's in a story form that I have a crush on this dude and whatnot. But nothing in the story has anything to do with what was happening in real life, because there was nothing happening in real life. So, when you see a story and you're like, your imagination is going wild, that's the person that you have a crush on. And yeah, you can see yourself with them now because I'm actually creating a visual for you. So yeah, it was exciting. It was an exciting journey. But oh my God, all of those errors. I mean, even the chapters wanted improvement. Um, let's see. I have a few things. Let's see. So when I went into the novel just to rewrite it, to go on to draft 2, I wanted to create a storyline for them. That was the first thing. Because maybe I was trying to write a novella at the time, but I didn't realize that, because I wanted to keep everything short. But the amount of information that I have, that was not for a novella. That was not for a novella. A novella only has one problem. I had so many things happening that it could have never been a novella. It was definitely a story, a novel, a proper novel that I needed to map out and to write. Because, all right, so I realized that when I was writing it, each chapter, like the first 5 chapters were extremely, extremely long. Extremely long. And then they just have this abrupt end. They just had this abrupt, like I left everybody at a hanger, sorry. So I had a lot to deal with. So in my head, I was like, how can I start the story? How can I restart the story? So I wanted to have a storyline. So I wanted to begin as if they had a normal encounter, like a typical office romance. So the first trope was the first 2 tropes were office romance, billionaire romance, and then you have the other tropes like erotic romance and all of that. So that's where I began. I added 10 new chapters before I went into the original storyline. I wanted to develop Sage's, that's the main protagonist, Sage and Roman. They're the main love interests to each other. So I wanted Sage's personality to stand out, and I wanted Roman to have a personality, because really and truly in the original draft he did not have a personality. He was just like there. He was there, just being there. I'm the love interest, I'm here. He didn't have a personality. He was just there. And Sage was just all over the place, just like the novel. And I had to start from scratch. I had to create a personality for Sage, a personality for Roman. I had to create a personality for Ronnie, that's Sage's best friend. I didn't really have to create a personality for the other characters, but you can know they're there, and you can tell what they're about. But I didn't have to deep dive as much as I had to deep dive for the main characters, since that is what the book's about, those main characters and their significance to each other. It was like I needed to create what was her motivation to liking her boss, and why he liked her as well. And Uh, I wanted them to have a little office romance before the romance spread beyond the office. And then my pacing was choppy and inconsistent. I needed them to just like run the whole story to run smoothly. Just I needed that. So this is why I got to drafts 2 and 3, because it had a lot of work, because the original 5 chapters I split them into 2 and created chapters in between that linked each scene just to explain certain things. I was just going in depth. I did not make the chapters as long as they were before. The most a chapter is 2,000 something, but it's not like 3,000 or 4,000 like before. I know that some stories will have that, but this story doesn't need that. It doesn't need that. It doesn't need to be that long. So the most a chapter will have is like 2,000 something words. But it doesn't need to be 3,000. It's not a fantasy novel. It's not a supernatural novel. So yes, I had to split a lot of chapters. I had to add chapters in between so that the storyline flowed better, so that people can understand what was happening instead of jumping from thing to thing, scene to scene, event to event, place to place, just like that. And you're like, what's happening here? Oh my God, what happened? But what? And then because I was just adding in things to the original chapter and things were being left off, not even because I was taking note of what I was writing. When I read the original draft, I was like, hold on, this was happening. I wrote this. And I did not revisit it in the end to conclude it or to say it's a continuation or anything. It was just lost to us. So yeah, that was that. Oh, let's have a brief pause for anyone that is interested in an annual Galatea subscription. You can get 20% off by using the discount Mullings 20. That's Mullings 20. Mullings 20 for new users will get you an annual Galatea subscription, 20% discount off. Well, discount, I didn't need. Or you can scan the QR code or use my link. You can get that. Thank you for listening. Anyways, so then there were the themes. I didn't have any themes. As I said, I was just writing. So I really sat down and thought about it. I even went back to like comments from readers. And I saw that, hey, people really like the relationship between Ronnie and Sage. Friendship and family. That can be a theme or 2 themes, and love and friendship and love and family, because then I developed the relationship between Sage and her mother and her sister for the audience to see. And I developed, Sage and Ronnie's relationship was very clear and very strong. So yes, I continued on that pace with their friendship as a theme for itself. There were things like, what are my other themes? I had so many. There was friends with betrayal and deceit. That was one of them. I made sure that Yes, I'm checking my notes. I made sure I had a lot of novel notes this time around. Because I did have novel notes, but they were all over the place like the novel. They were just all over the place. I made sure I locked myself in this time. Yeah, so it was family love, friendship love, betrayal, deceit. Those were the themes that I wanted to focus on throughout the development of drafts 2 and 3. And I explored their relationships and a bit of their personal growth, more like relationship growth, not really personal growth, but relationship growth. So I have a few more novels to write for the Savage series. So there will be some personal growth and relationship growth being explored there, even if you don't see them in the first novel. So stay tuned for that. And then I wanted to clarify a lot of things that were happening in the chapters. This is why I had to extend certain chapters. And for those lengthy sentences, I made sure that I split them. I split them up. I read them to myself. It's like, is this clear? Can somebody understand this sentence? Before I added a full stop to it. I didn't need any lengthy sentence unless they were giving a speech. Even with the character conversations, I read them aloud to myself as if I were talking to somebody and I was answering myself as well. I was like, does this make sense? Would you say this to somebody? I know I always say random shit to people, like my friends and random people. But like on a normal day, would this have been said to somebody as it relates to whatever they're saying now? Yeah, if you understand what I'm saying. Because, oh my God, when I went back and saw those sentences, like, no, this can't be. This cannot be. I am glad that I developed Roman because he was flat. As I said, he was just there. He did not need to be the plot device because he's a main character. He's supposed to be evoking main character energy, big dick energy. So, yeah, he wasn't supposed to be flat. The minor characters or secondary, some of the secondary characters can be flat and used as, plot devices for the main characters' journeys and to deepen certain things and motivate certain themes and persons and make the love interest and the storyline a little deeper. But Sir Roman did not need to be flat. No. So yes, I tried my best to go through all of those errors, because with draft 2, I cut some of the original scenes and created new scenes for them. And this is how I got draft 3. I was like, no, I had to have those original scenes. That's what made the novel popular in the first place. So I did cut minor things out of it, but the major scenes, I kept them as best as possible in the third draft. So in draft 2, I worked on all of the errors of the original draft, the repetitiveness. I got rid of some annoying things in the sentences. Oh my God. The plot holes, the grammar, the lengthy sentences, the redundant statements, the underdeveloped personalities, the develop the themes, develop the plot. I revisited some issues, got rid of some cringy stuff, and created a full-length novel. But then with the third draft, now I took the important With the third draft, I took the important scenes from the original novel, and I used the new edits, the new storyline from the second draft and created the third draft. So yeah, I made sure all of that was covered. I made sure all of that was covered when I developed the third draft. And I made sure that there were a lot of creative language this time and metaphors. I created layers for my story and meaning and purpose to everything. I couldn't just leave it like that. That's my baby. That's my debut novel. I did not want to tarnish the vision I had for that story. And I created a lot of like little backstories for each. I did not like, oh my God, I have to do this. But I just wanted my characters to have a bit more character so my readers could fall in love with them even more. This story is not like a serious story with some in-depth themes, exploring in-depth themes or the plot lines. It was just for fun. It's just for fun. It's just for anybody who wants to fall in love with their boss who is a millionaire. All those other stories that we've read before. It's just for fun, just for humor, just something new to the erotic novel. And then the erotic part is not something that is a big part of it, but it's there. If you get me. It's not like how 50 Shades of Grey made the erotic part the biggest part of it. No, it made it the biggest part of it, so 50 Shades for the erotica. This story is about the story and the little erotic things that happen in it, but it's not about the erotica. But the erotica kind of adds to the fun, the authenticity of it. And I made sure I developed the emotional connections. So I just wanted my readers to be more absorbed in it. But it's still just for fun. Nothing too deep, but I think there's a little depth in it. But like within like the friendships, there's a little depth. Like when you see them, if you read it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But yet, I think the biggest theme for Savage is friendship, to be honest. Family and friends. If you are into literary devices and literary analysis, yeah, I think the biggest theme that like calls out a lot in the novel is like friendship and love and family and love, their relationships like that. But yes, I think it was time I cleared the air for a lot of those misconceptions and what I'm doing with it, so you can find the new and improved Savage plot on Inkit, in the Inkit subscription of my profile. It is under Savage World. I'll be changing it to Savage Series, but for now it's under Savage World. It is only $5 a month, and you can subscribe for the reading. I finished the novel. It's there, live. I'll be adding more because as I stated before, I have more novels to add to this series, and I would love it if you guys could give it a read, give it a thumbs up, a share, and please comment, because I actually read everyone's comments. I actually read them. I love them. Good or bad, I love them. And thank you so much for you guys' support. And before I go, you can get 20% off your annual Galatea subscription with code Mullings20. That's Mullings, all common letters, 20. That's Mullings 20. Mullings 20. Or you can click the link and it will bring you there to the app and you can sign up. Thank you and goodbye. Wow, that was just abrupt, like thank you and goodbye. Bye. Love you guys.